Welcome everyone to another edition of Play It Through, and on this edition it's Elevator Action for the Nintendo Game Boy, brought to us by Taito. Elevator Action on the Game Boy, based off the arcade game of the same name, and different though from the NES version that I played a few weeks ago. In the game you're playing as a spy who's going into a building to find some secret information. The secret information is held behind certain doors. You must get all of the secret files and then escape the building. In this version of the game, though, you have a few things to help you out. There are a couple of different weapons you can get from the question mark labeled doors. You also have health this time around that actually regenerates between levels, so very, very useful and makes this version much more accessible and a little bit less arcadey. Just like my other run of Elevator Action on the NES, I will be playing through one loop of the game, showing each of the levels one time through, and then ends up looping back and you can keep on playing. I'm not sure if this version ends up looping to a certain level, or just goes on infinitely. Here I'm going to go into the next of the file doors. The buildings are a little bit maze-like, so it's a little easy to get lost or potentially skip one of the doors, just because the lower resolution of the Game Boy screen can't quite see as much as you could see in other versions of the title. It takes a long time when you enter into one of these doors for you to finally come back out. During that time, enemies potentially could end up coming out of the doors and gang up on the door itself and take you out that way. But thankfully, you at least have some health to take a hit or two without having to worry about losing a life. I love squashing enemies using the elevator. It's just very funny and satisfying to do. You can't duck on the elevator, so I have to get off of it real quick to duck down to avoid that bullet before going over to the left side and down to get to the next exclamation point door. Once you have them all, you get a big old OK at the top of the screen, and now you just got to escape the building. You don't have to take the elevator out. You can actually drop a floor in this game without being killed. That ends up coming into play a little bit as far as traversing some of the areas in the game. You can kind of shortcut a little bit more in this version. I'm going to take this elevator all the way down. I can see that I need to go down the one on the left side. The elevator is coming down anyway, so that ends up working out, and I can go to the bottom floor and move on to building number 2. Here we get dogs introduced, so another new enemy. That's a big difference in this version as well, having to deal with them compared to the NES one with just those one guys that just get increasingly more difficult. After discovering this version of the game, it's become my favorite to play. In fact, I'm playing the Japanese version of it here, though I'm not sure if there is any difference between the Japanese and North American release of the title. Here, unfortunately, I'm going to have to wait a few seconds for the elevator to come up enough so that I can drop down and get to the next one of the exclamation point doors. If you fall too far, once you get like past the threshold, your health automatically goes down to 0. So even before you land, you're already done. Here, once again, I gotta wait for the elevator to come back up enough. There we go. I'm gonna wait for it to fully come up just because that guy ended up being there. And I was afraid if I ended up going, I may have ended up getting hit. Not that I couldn't have taken the hit there, though. Head on down here. We're gonna go down the escalator, stairs right away, and then over to the right. And down the next elevator to the next one of the doors. Only one more left that we have to get. Once down here, enter into the last of the doors that we need. Now we just gotta worry about escaping from where we are. Wait for the elevator. Since I can't duck, I'm just gonna quickly shoot when I get down the floor and then go down all the way as I reach the bottom and move on to building number 3. As we begin building number 3, do not go down. Instead, we're going to head up first in order to find a couple of the doors. I mean, you could go down first, but then you're going to have to go all the way back up and do some backtracking. The first time I played, though, I went right down, and I ended up getting to the bottom of the level and realizing, oh, I need to go back. There's some other doors somewhere, and then I discovered right from the beginning, you actually have to go up. We got the one door on this side, and we're going to walk over to the other side, dealing with a few dogs. Thankfully, they can't follow you up the stairs. As we reach the top, though, we get to the second of the doors located above the starting point, and then we just got to work our way back down and start heading down the building. Sometimes, unfortunately, there may be a dog or enemy right there as soon as you reach the bottom of one of these, and you'll end up getting hit. It's just inevitable. Here I'm going to use the elevator and go down the next couple of floors to the next door over here to the right. Another thing you have to watch out for are these sensors in the walls. You can jump over to avoid them, but if you end up running through them, they end up causing a bunch of enemies to spawn real quick. Head on down to floor number 11. We're going to go to the right and hit the next one of the exclamation point doors. Just 2 more left here in building 3. Down here is the next one. Taking the right side is where you want to go. Going the left side leads to a dead end. I was hoping that enemy would walk underneath the elevator, but no such luck. Here we get the last of the doors, and now we just gotta finish up the level and move on to the next building. I let the alarm go off by accident. I was trying to jump over it, but thankfully I'm able to get to the elevator pretty quickly. Work my way down the group of elevators, and I can just drop down to the floor here, since it's only the 1 floor drop. Then we get to see a little cutscene of the girl that's been helping us escape each of the buildings, gets picked up and held captive, and now we have to go rescue her. And that's what we get to do in level number 4. Level number 4 is different than the other stages, as you have to work your way up the elevators and staircases and the like to the top of the building, and then take on a room full of enemies in order to save the girl. Introduced is another new enemy, the robot, that moves back and forth, takes several regular bullets to take out, and fires lasers at you, so lots of fun there. I'm going to take the left side up quite a few floors. Then I'm going to head over to the right and take the next elevator on the right side up some. Just gotta wait for it to come down. There's one of those robots. I'm going to try to avoid that. I'm going to stay over here in case any enemy spawns. I can fire directly at them while I wait for the elevator. We reach the end of the line with the one elevator, and we're going to go over to the next one and take that one up. Have to avoid one of those wall sensors as we take a few flights of stairs up. Enemies may potentially chase you, but you'll probably be able to outrun them. Then over here to the right, you want to go into the vent here that will take you down a few floors. Then over to the right, they use the elevator, and you go up to the top. Then enter into the other colored door that's located here, one without the exclamation point or a question mark. Once inside, it's time to face off with this series of enemies. It can be a little difficult for sure. I'm going to take out the dog first and then start firing at the robots. The robot that comes out of the left door, I'm going to take him out first. Then jump up in the air in case one of the human enemies comes out, and work my way then to the right side of the room, jumping over the lasers as much as I can, and finish off the last few robots, and enjoy the brief little ending to elevator action on the Game Boy. So there you have it, elevator action for the Game Boy. I really like this version of the game, which is why I wanted to show it off, even though I had recently played the NES one. The Game Boy one is worth checking out, I think, if you've never done so. But with that said, it'll wrap up this episode of Play It Through. I'd like to thank you for watching, and of course, I hope you enjoyed.